Well, hello, hello. This is Rosa, rcgkreations. How you doing? I'm bringing you to Did You Know video. Okay, I just made 2 cakes, and they were both flops. So I'm going to do the process of elimination. And I know my flour is very, very good because it doesn't expire for another year. Okay, and it's always stored in the freezer in an airtight container. So it should be good, hopefully. I don't know, because I haven't done that part yet of how to test for flour. But how do you know if your baking powder and your baking soda are any good? Well, what you do is you drop some into hot water. It doesn't say boiling water, it just says hot water. And if it fizzes, that means it's good. So as you can see the steam, I've got me some water. So let's try one of these. I'm just going to do, where I've got the one open already, baking powder. Okay, so if it starts to fizz, as soon as I pour some in there, I'm thinking this will be good. So let's just take a look. Okay, it's fizzing, for sure. As you can see that. So my baking powder is good. So that one's good. Now let's do the process of elimination. I'm going to throw away this water because I'm not going to need all of it. I got a little hot plate over here because that pot was kind of hot. Now let's do the same thing with the baking soda. And if it fizzes, that means it's good. So I'm just going to do a little bit. Hot water. It's not fizzing. It's fizzing. Yeah, actually it is very, very little. So I think this is starting to get old. So I'm going to need to get me some more baking soda. So I'm going to go in my fridge. This is where I store it. And see if I have some fresh baking soda. If not, I got to go buy some more. So anyway, that is my take on how do you know if your baking powder and your baking soda is fresh or not? Hot water, it fizzes, and it did fizz. It fizzed a little bit. It didn't fizz a whole lot like the baking powder. The baking powder one fizzed a whole lot. So the baking powder is good. The baking soda is okay, but it's not great. All right. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next video. Take care now. Bye-bye. Okay, we are back. We are going to do the flour. On flour, the first thing you should look for is smell. So as far as I'm concerned, it looks, there's no odor. There's really no odor to it. And I don't smell any odor. And I'm going to mix it around. So I think my flour is good. The next thing you want to look for is past the expiration date. Always label and put your expiration date. Now this is my big one that I keep right here in my kitchen. I don't label this one because all I do is fill it up. But I do keep labels on the flour that's in my freezer. I also have some when it's like almost empty but not big enough to go in the freezer. I'll stick it in the fridge. Okay, now those two, I always look at the expiration date. Okay, so, and I've always just been told to go by the expiration date. If you go a few months afterwards, as long as you do all the smell test and all the other stuff, it should be fine. The next thing is the color. Okay, all-purpose white flour, which is what this is supposed to be white. Whole wheat flour is kind of a tanny brown, and of course it's because the wheat is kind of a tanny browny color. Almonds are kind of an off-white, and they're the color of the almonds because you take the skin off the almonds and use the almonds only to make your flour. Okay, that's also the same thing that you use to make your almond extract. You don't use the skin. That dark brown is that skin. You don't use that. Okay, sorry about that. The next thing is if you see any bugs. Okay, they're called I'm sorry, my coughing's just really getting up to me. They're called flower beetles, okay? These are let me bring you up just a tad so you can see my face. Because from now, for a few more seconds, I'm going to just talk. Okay. So the flower now I have done a lot of research on this part. And I'll put a link to my other video that I did about different types of flowers. It's a pretty lengthy video. And I didn't get a lot of hits on it. But for those of you who are new like me, it's like, okay, I just had 2 fails. And I'm using exact same product. So what's the deal? What's going on? But I am using 2 different recipes. So I don't know if that has something to do with it. I don't know. So anyway, it's just part of experimenting when you're learning how to bake. The weevils, which are a flower bug, they're not toxic. So if you by accident happen to make it and didn't realize you saw them, because you may not always see them moving, but most of the time you do. So if you got a really bad infestation, you'll see them. And number one, they're darker color. They got a little bit of dark color to it. Some of them have a white, kind of a white wings and stuff to it. So it just depends on the flower. But if you always take a look at your flower, and if you see things are moving and you're not touching it, more than likely you got bugs, which are the weevils. Now, I personally won't do this, but I've actually had somebody that does this. It's because she's on a very, 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 very tight budget. She puts her flour every time as soon as she gets it home. She opens it up, because she always puts it in a separate container. She opens it up, and she puts it on through a metal sieve, and she sieves it. And if there's any bugs, she gets some tweezers, and she takes the bugs out, and she puts them in a cup of vinegar. Okay, and that kills the bugs. And then she uses the flour. Everywhere I've read, the USDA, the food preservation, all kinds of sites, they all say the same thing. The weevils are not toxic. They will die in the oven when you're baking your product. So you're probably not going to see them. You probably aren't going to taste them. But the fact that they're there mentally is kind of like, ooh, no. For me, no. But you know what? You do what's yours, and then again, do your own research. So anyway, this is my take on how to know if your main 3 baking sources, flour, baking powder, and baking soda, have they expired? So thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.